Well, for sure, Red October has started big time this year. The biggest news, of course, was the Iranian attack on Israel. My Mossad sources tell me that many thousands of Israelis were killed, including Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and that 30 F-35 fighters were also destroyed. The Zionists are now freaking out. Even though there was talk of some kind of Israeli retaliation, that has been stopped because the Iranians let it be known that if they were attacked, they would hit Haifa and Tel Aviv with nuclear missiles that are on hypersonic missiles. So in other words, basically, they could obliterate Israel, and they're being very humane to not do that. So I'm hearing that the current state of Israel may not last beyond October 15th. So there is a lot happening there. And the other thing is we have confirmed that Benjamin Netanyahu and the recent doppelganger or avatar they were using for him have been killed. The Israelis put out a video of Netanyahu talking, and if you watch, you can see that the two people on either side of him changed partway through the video. In other words, there's different people. So it was some kind of digital edit of previous talks that was uncovered. So that's a huge thing. Now, the other thing that's going on, of course, is that on September 30th, the U.S. corporation owned by the Vatican did default. Now, what happened was the Bank of America, which is the Vatican, stole money from people's accounts, including, by the way, $4,000 from one of my accounts, or one of my only accounts, which has now been returned. And it looks like they did that so that they could create the appearance that they had enough money for a snapshot of the end of the fiscal year. So they stole people's money or borrowed it to look like they were solvent, and then that ended. Now, behind the scenes, there was, of course, the dock workers' strike that cut off all trade to the U.S., and a deal apparently has been reached. So the official excuse for this cutoff of trade was the end of the dock workers' strike, but what I'm hearing is that some kind of deal between the West and the Vatican and the BRICS alliance is in the works, but we'll know more over the coming days. So that's the biggest stuff that's going on. Now, there are other things. For example, everybody is noticing that there was obviously some sort of weather warfare attack on North Carolina, and if you look at the place that was hit, it's a quartz mine that apparently produces a special kind of quartz that is completely essential for the semiconductor industry. So this is some kind of huge play against the semiconductor industry. It's also one of the biggest lithium deposits there. So this is some kind of attack, and we're still trying to find out who is behind it. But if you look at the owners of the mine, it's the usual suspects, the BlackRock, Vanguard, and those people. And of course, BlackRock and Vanguard are being targeted by a lot of people. Larry Fink is being hunted by the Mexican cartels, by the Japanese mob, and all sorts of other people for his various crimes. He basically, him and his, Invesco subsidiary, basically defrauded the Yamaguchi Gumi out of what they claim is hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're not going to take that lying down. And the Mexican cartels, of course, know that they use weather weapons against Mexico to destroy their heroin crop. So I wouldn't want to be Larry Fink right now, And a lot of other people are also obviously being hunted. We note that this P. Diddy pedophilia business is in the mainstream news, and they opened a hotline. And within 24 hours, he got 12,000 phone calls. Okay, so this is not just one guy. This is some kind of large network that's being uncovered. And this is going mainstream, which is very important. We're also seeing people like JFK Jr. Start telling the truth about the Federal Reserve Board. So he's finally realizing that these are the people who killed his father and uncle. And he points out correctly that they're they make their money by basically strip mining from the middle class in the United States and taking all their money through fraud, basically creating money out of nothing using fraudulent bonds from the 1930s as justification. So that's coming to an end. And there's a big emergency meeting at the Vatican right now, the Synod. They're trying to figure what to do because they realize that they're bankrupt and know that things are not going to continue as usual. Now, in Japan, too, I personally went on October 1st to the U.S. Embassy to demand that U.S. Ambassador Rahm Emanuel be made persona non grata because he was presiding over, well, he was a representative of a company that had gone bankrupt as of that moment, and that the U.S. had been murdering and torturing prime ministers. Japan now has essentially a military government, and the fact that the Japan handlers are freaking out over it shows that change is happening. However, again, the Japanese, there was a lot of discussion in the underworld and the military and police and stuff, and they agreed that Japan is a signatory to the Vienna Convention and that Rahm Emanuel has diplomatic immunity, so the best they can do is make him persona non grata and saying, you know, you're not welcome here. And I'm hearing he will be arrested as soon as he returns to the United States. At the same time, Emanuel contacted us indirectly through the CIA to say he wants to work with the White Hats. So we'll let you know more when we find out more. But the situation remains highly volatile in many areas. But it does look like Israel and the United States of America Corporation are going to end. And, of course, so will the Ukraine. We found out that Vladimir Zelensky has personally taken about $20 billion of the aid sent to Ukraine and is using it as, you know, like his own personal slush fund. I'm hearing that money will be confiscated from him. In the UK as well, the top controller there, Simon Case, the chief cabinet secretary, has publicly announced he's resigning. And that means that the fake regime of Keir Starmer and all that business in the UK is going to come to an end. So there are big changes. And of course, Germany is now under German rule again. They've shut their borders. The Austro-Hungarian Empire is back in force, and they've also shut their borders. And the whole structure that we've had since World War II is collapsing. The big BRICS summit at the end of this month has already got, you know, Turkey and other people participating, and we expect some high-level diplomacy between now and then to accommodate the Western White Hats with the BRICS to form some kind of more people-friendly and planet-friendly, benevolent system for, you know, dealing with the issues that we all have to share on this planet. Let's face it, we don't want a centralized world government with a single dictator running things. But at the same time, every village on Earth has certain rules. You don't go into your neighbor's house and rape his daughter. You don't take a dump on the street. You don't kill people. Unfortunately, the planet does not have such a system. And we do need some kind of global village arrangement so that problems are not solved through murdering politicians and stealing resources and all that kind of stuff that's been basically the way of business from the Octagon group and the Zionists who've been controlling the West for so long, and that's coming to an end. So overall, the October war has come on, started strong, and we expect more big news over the coming weeks. So hang on to your hats, and if you're in a position to take personal action, please do so. However small, it's, you know, if you gather enough dust, you can make a mountain. So everybody do what you can. Don't just be a passive observer. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself today. And now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. What are your thoughts on the Diddy arrest? There are a lot of big names that attended his parties. The judge denied his bail, but do you think he will be killed in prison?
I don't think they can pull that off again because everybody knows that the Epstein thing was completely fake, and you know, this time it's in the so-called corporate news. It's not just on you know, internet media, so-called alternative media. So I think something big is happening. Of course, what we need to see is some movement in Europe against the the royal families who engaged in, hunting children and killing them in large quantities. And remember, this has come out. The U.S. government itself has saying that 323,000 children have vanished since the Biden regime started. These are just children coming in from the Mexican border. We're not talking about American-born children, because a lot of them are disappearing too. And investigative reporters have been looking into this, and they find that they were sent to abandoned houses and that they're missing. So they're not just, they're gone. They were killed. And this is coming out now, so they can't pretend it didn't happen. So this is very big. And I expect that finally we will see some big names, and we're all very impatient for the war crimes tribunals to begin. I think we're getting there this time, and the P. Diddy thing is a good sign. It's also interesting that it started immediately after an earthquake right beneath the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, followed by a mushroom cloud, because that was supposed to be a major trafficking center. And after it was taken out, suddenly the news is full of P. Diddy. So I think that they're preparing the public for rather shocking announcements. Okay, next question. Let's just have a drink of water here.
Hi, Ben. When I check to see who is winning in the poll, still have Harris Walls at a 2-point lead. Are these fraudulent, or are there actually enough delusional people?
Everything I hear is that the polls are completely fictitious. If you personally hear about a Harris event in your neighborhood, please take your camera and go. You'll find that they don't have any crowds, that they bus in the same extras each time. So no, it's completely fake. There can be no doubt about that. But if you hear about an event in your neighborhood, please be a citizen journalist and go see for yourself. Next question.
Hi, Ben. There are rumors that there is going to be a major cyber war this October that will shut down the internet and all other forms of transmitting devices as well. Do you know anything about this?
I don't have any direct personal intelligence about this from my contacts, but I do notice that they're announcing a major solar flare that's supposed to take out communications, and it's quite possible. There was, in the case of Holland, a shutdown of all communications that came from the military, and it shut down all the airports, all the mobile phones, the television, everything. And then apparently they evacuated the Dutch royals and a lot of the cabal members to southern Argentina. So it could well happen, but I don't have direct confirmation of this from my sources. Next question.
Ben, I was going to ask you a question in regards to the attacks on Israel, but you had already covered it earlier. So in lieu of that, what do you mean by Israel might cease to exist on or before October 15th, and what does that mean?
Well, the fact of the matter is that the current owners of Israel have lost their mandate, and they had a long-term plan to create a greater Israel and rule the world from there. And that plan has basically failed, and it's not going to happen. So what I'm hearing is that Israel will be replaced by the nation state of Judea that will include the European immigrants and the Judeans, who are mistakenly called or misleadingly called Palestinians, and that the people of the region will be left in peace with freedom of religious worship, and the Jews will be able to rebuild their temple. So it's not bad news. It just means the end of a Zionist terrorist state. Remember, Israel was founded by the people who carried out the Holocaust and murdered, countless numbers of their fellow Jews in order to force the Remainder to take part in their messianic, megalomaniac project, and that's coming to an end. But this, to me, it will mean the liberation of the Jewish people from thousands of years of satanic slavery. So I think it's a good thing. But no harm is going to come to innocent people. That's the bottom line. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We have our last question for today. Drone warfare is advancing at a terrifying rate from what we can see in Ukraine. They are able to hunt down and destroy soldiers in swarms. My concern is who is going to have.
Well, ever since warfare began, they've been every once in a while there's a weapon that changes the whole paradigm. So, for example, the British longbow made a lot of these knights in armor obsolescence for a while, and guns and other things. And my understanding is that at the end of the day, there will be an equilibrium, and each side will have the ability to send swarms of drones to the other, but they'll agree not to use it against each other. I don't think that. I know for a fact that the high level military intelligence people in Russia, China, the US, England, everywhere understand that World War III would destroy the planet, and instead they're going to come up with some kind of new arrangement that will involve profiting together instead of killing each other. So I wouldn't worry too much about new military developments, because the people who control them are not going to, start mass murder. Okay, well, that's it for this week, and hopefully we'll have more interesting and good news next week, because things are definitely happening.